professional back there. You got
You're
hiding back there. Thank you. Would you bring some? Great. Thank you.
Let's pray, guys. Thank you, Father, for today. Father, I thank you for this opportunity to come together as part of this county. God, we thank you for the blessings you give us each and every day. Father, we ask that this morning, Lord, that you teach us, Lord, your ways. Father, give us the courage, the strength to do the things that you call us to do. Father, thank you for these leaders in our county. Father, we pray that you give them grace, give them mercy. Father, we pray for wisdom. Father, lead us and guide us. Forgive us of our sins. In Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Chief. Gentlemen, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everyone to the regularly scheduled Eastland Co District Court meeting, October 25th, just after 9 o'clock. And for the record, all the commissioners are here except Commissioner 2. He's out today. County Judge for the record, so we do have a quorum. Also at the table, County Auditor and Deputy County Clerk, Donna Robertson. So let's get started. We've got a full morning of events here. Item number 1 is to read and sign the minutes. Donna, I've got one set of minutes here from October the 12th. Is that the one you have?
Correct.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, you've had a chance to review this. Do we have any questions or comments on the meetings from meeting minutes from October 12th?
I'll second.
Made a motion and second to accept those. All in favor, say aye. Aye as well, Don.
Okay.
And let's see. Don, I'll try to get absent and everything for Commissioner 2, but you might see as they come through, make sure absence on that. And let's see. Thank you. Okay, that takes us to item number 2, and that is a redistricting presentation related to findings of fact regarding political boundaries of Eastland County based on the Census 2020 data by Frank Riley, attorney at law with Allison Bass McGee LLP. Mr. Riley, would you come on up? Good morning. How are you? Thank you for being here. Yes, please have a seat. And we are on the record there on the reporter, and we have media going as well.
Very good. Judge, Commissioners, welcome. I'm happy to be welcome here. Thank you.
Yeah. We're glad you're here.
It was a fun drive up today. Truly. As you all know, every 10 years you have to redistrict or consider redistricting based upon the prior census. And this year's census, as you all know, was also very late, getting to us and to you all the data coming back. The numbers came back though, and I think you all planned for it before, the judges indicated, for growth in the last 10 years to where you're not legally obligated to redistrict this year unless you so desire. So you may do so, either for county commissioners precincts or your JP precincts if you want to do that. But the only ones that you would ever have a legal requirement to redistrict would be your county commissioner precincts. The justice of these precincts are considered to be perfunctory types of things where, because you all set the policy, they are just implementing your policy. So since they are not policy makers, the one person who wrote rules, as the Supreme Court has said, so much don't apply. So that is really just a matter of the JP precincts or something that you think from some sort of economy efficiency purposes you might want to redo those. But that's pretty much it. The ideal population for the county, the census said you had 17,725 residents or people living in Eastland County. And so the ideal population for each county commissioner precinct would be 4,431 people. And your range was really pretty close to that after you all got through. No greater than 3.86 on the low side percent and 3.74% on the high side. If you add those two together, you end up with a maximum deviation of 7.60%. And the Supreme Court's rules, as well as those that have been adopted through the local government code, basically set a 10% floor or max of deviation you would have. So below that, 7.67%. So that's kind of basically where we are. Your JP precinct's a little bit different. If you judge for eagle eyes on all of this stuff. There's a little more deviation in those. But again, legally, it's not an issue. It's really just a partial economy efficiency for you all. The ideal population for those would be 8,863 per precinct. We've got two. And precinct 1 is 11,801, precinct 2 is 5,009. That, if you decide that you want to redistrict either Commissioner's Court or JP precincts, in order to start the redistricting process. If you're satisfied with the lines you have now and don't want to go through the process, you would enter an alternative order to take.
With the data that we have now, is there any kind of an impact on the ethnicity across the county? Because this has to be redistricting to where ethnicity is maintained.
Correct.
Not gerrymandered around in some kind of weird shape or something.
That's correct. And it appears to me that the largest minority group that you have in the county is Hispanic, and their total percentage is 16.55% across the county. And if you look, they're evenly dispersed percentage-wise across the county. And if you look at the demographic maps, also dispersed across the county. So it'd be difficult to make a majority minority district plus they're at 16%. You really would, you'd have to really gerrymander the heck out of it and try to make it fly that way. So what the Justice Department in the past has looked at and what the courts have looked at is electing representatives of their choice, of everybody's choice, and we've got a pretty strong number from each of the four commissioners' precincts.
So your legal opinion in that of the rest of the attorneys at House of Bass is that we don't have a legal requirement to do a redistricting to the 7.6% maximum deviation. We're under the 10% cap for that.
Yes.
And there's no reason to do any redistricting for ethnicity concerns.
That's correct.
It's interesting that precinct 3 has got the largest population now. Of course, I think part of that is because this is the map that we did 10 years ago. The part in blue, you might not be able to see it if you're at a distance. The part in blue is precinct 3. We had to go up into a little bit of Cisco and a little bit of Eastland, and that's why those two pullout maps are off to the right, to pick up enough population to make precinct 3 come in at each one of those colors represents about 4,600 people. That's where we needed to get for our old population of 18.5. So if you take 18.5 and divide it by 4, you get about 4,600 people. And now the numbers show that part, precinct 3, is now the largest populated commissioner precinct. That's interesting. Well, you know, when you do redistricting, it caused all sorts of issues, shall we say, issues. Annie Maxwell precinct is the one in the middle, kind of the pink color one, the salmon color one. About 90 miles of county road there. And then the largest geographical population, or the largest geographical area, is precinct 3, which is the blue one, about 300 miles of county road. So we had quite a process to divide that money out by road mile. So we've got a good system going now. I personally don't think that we need to redistrict. The Justice of the Peace are both here. They're used to their districts that they have. Of course, the Constable District aligns right up with theirs as well. Our voting precincts are 9 in the county, and we did the division along voting precinct lines with Jim Allison's suggestion on that, and that worked out pretty well. That really well, actually. I think after 10 years, everybody's used to the precinct lines for commissioners, for road work. We've got several members of the public here. Does anybody in the public see any reason that we need to change that map that we've been using for 10 years? We also have Summer Olvera, who's our election administrator. Would you like us to change that all up? You rather it stay the same?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I think it's worked well for 10 years. I think Commissioner Raines and I are the only two that are still on the Commissioner's Court that were here 10 years ago. But it was quite the effort to get that down to about 1.5% deviation. We have to do it again in 2030, but that'll be something for another Commissioner's Court to consider in 10 years. You never know what the growth is going to do. That growth will go back up into the yellow and the pink area, green area. Who knows? Lake Leon seems to be getting more people. The city of Cisco now is just about to go up into the south side of Lake Cisco, Hidden Shore Development. That's going to pick up quite a bit of population over there. So all those numbers could change in the next 10 years based on the 2030 census. Okay, Mr. Riley, at this point then, we need to make a decision about what we need to do as far as the order, I guess, correct? Okay. So for the record, this is the finding of facts regarding political boundaries of Eastland County, Texas, following the publication of the 2020 census data and order. We've got one order to either retain the existing political boundaries, or we've got the other order to start the redistricting process. Commissioners, what is your pleasure?
I'll make the motion to retain the current band.
All right. A second.
No, second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to retain the existing political boundaries as explained Mr. Riley with Allison Bass. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. And so it is unanimous, and I will get these signed off. Let's see, we've all got to sign this. Donna, do you have a copy of it over there as well?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Another copy?
Do the commissioners have a copy? Did y'all bring your?
No.
Okay. Well, let me sign this one off, and we'll get it tested too, and then this will be the one that we use. That way, instead of signing a bunch of them. All right, with absent, listen to. Yep. All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You bet. Thank you, Frank. Appreciate it. You bet. Good to meet you.
Long drive for 5 minutes.
That's quite all right. Happy to do it.
Well, I want you here to explain and maybe answer any
Absolutely.
questions that might have come up, so.
Yes, sir.
And we've already paid the money for you to be here.
We appreciate that as well.
And it will save us some money for not having to do redistricting.
Absolutely, that as well. Thank y'all so much. And then ultimately, if y'all can get me a copy of that, then.
We'll get you a copy of that, Frank.
Thanks, Judge.
If you'll attest that and send a copy of it back, I'd say back out to everybody here so we all have that. Perfectly good.
And the extra copy for Mr. Ryan.
Okay. We have a request from the treasurer's office to go to the bill paying process so we can get her started on that. And that is going to be item number 18, bills, claims, and accounts.
That's the last thing you have.
There. That's all right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We have a motion then to go on and pay the bills, claims, and accounts.
Yes.
And a second as well. Or take up the item. All right, so
No.
just take up the item and move it down. So Christine can go get her work done. All right, Ms. Keating, will take us through these.
There are 7 sets. The first one is October 13th. It is a health reimbursement arrangement, employee medical reimbursement. The next one is October 15th payroll, and you'll see it is gross, withholding Medicare, Social Security, retirement, and other deductions and benefits. And I believe the only thing that is not in here still is unemployment and workers' comp. The next one is, again, October 15th payroll, and it is also, it's gross pay. Next is October 24th. These are fiscal year 2021 payables. The next one is October 25th, and these are also fiscal year 2021 payables. On page 17, there is one payable out of county clerk records management. Oh, it is on page 17. To Tyler Technologies, $105. I believe this was previously approved by commissioners for the expenditure. Then October 26th payables. These are fiscal year 2022 payables. And the last one is October 25th. This is Com Data payables for today.
Questions, comments on the bills?
Judge, may I ask a question? When you first started, you said a motion to take up the items?
Just to move it, instead of taking it up second, we're gonna take it up now.
Oh, okay.
Item 18.
Okay, so nobody. Okay.
I didn't say that very clearly.
That's okay, that's okay.
It's my fault. All right. Do we have a motion to pay the bills claimed to the council as presented?
Motion.
Okay.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Uh-huh.
All in favor, say aye. Aye, say aye.
Okay.
Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You started having to sign cards.
Judge, there's a lot of firemen in the room. Did we pick up number 7 and let them get back to what they need to do?
You can do that. Like to do that. We have a motion then to go ahead and take up number 7 next.
Motion. Second.
Made second, take up number 7. All in favor, say aye. Aye as well. Item number 7 is discuss, consider use of American Rescue Plan Act funds to assist Eastland County Fire Departments. Are we taking up individual departments, or are we speaking as a group, or how do y'all want to do that? Dr. Chiefs?
Judge, the only reason I'm here is I just wanted to make sure the county has received the MOU from the city manager and how it's going to be distributed.
I have received that, and I think you also sent a copy to the rep.
Okay. So I just wanted to explain the reason that this was redone a little bit is because I did further investigation. And so the purpose of premium pay is what they're technically calling it in the ARP deal, is that we can't take, we had a discussion that we could only allocate like $22,000 because we didn't have enough volunteers and all that. And we talked about, well, future volunteers will get it. Well, you can't do that. So it has to be people that are current, that worked during the pandemic. That's why we had to readjust the allotments to make it come out to the 25,000.
Okay.
So it's one-time deal. It's done. There's no holding any money to pay future employees or volunteers. It's a one-time deal, and that's just how it has to be. So
Okay.
I just want to make it clear, just make sure you all have this.
Okay. You got a copy of it?
Yes, I do have that. And before we go on, I had training week before last, and we again discussed ARPA funds. And some of this is what we already know. Premium pay has to be on an hourly basis, and benefits have to be included in the calculation. And if an employee makes more than $50,000 with benefits, they're not eligible. Other things, of course, anything that's purchased has to be purchased according to federal grant rules, Texas state law, and county policies and procedures. So if bidding is required, it's going to have to be bid. And we have until December 31st to obligate, which we already knew.
So are you saying then if they want to buy something that's over the $50,000 threshold that we have for the county, it's got to be bid?
Yes.
Or some other threshold we use?
No, it's over the 50,000, but still need to be aware that this is federal grant money, and they're very picky, and they want to see that we've gone out for bid, or we've gone through purchasing cooperative, or we've gotten quotes, depending on the total dollar amount. We can give the money to volunteer fire departments, and they would have to file a report on what it's spent on and provide receipts.
And that's what Walter's put together basically with his MOU about the report that needs to come back to the county. Because I guarantee you we'll be audited on this at some point, if not next year, the year after. So we've got to make sure we're in
I
compliance.
think the way that Langford said that had to be done is that when you should get an individual check, it'll be a canceled check as part of the paper trail that you all can request at the time of your audit, or we can give it to you immediately, however you want to do it. I think that's the procedure that our administrator said that we need to handle it.
So if we have it up front first off, I think that would be, instead of trying to catch it on the backside, we'll get in front of it and as soon as it's paid, we'll get a copy of it back. So.
And it's not just gonna be the canceled check, it's gonna be the canceled check and where it cleared the bank account too, because they'll come back and ask for that, so we'll need.
Don't they put that on the back of the canceled check?
Well, if they wanna see the actual
Like a
bank
deposit
statement.
slip or something?
No, they want to see a
Bank statement.
statement.
From an individual?
Yes.
No,
Well,
no,
Our check.
no.
Oh,
County
okay.
check.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
But I'll get with you on record requirements.
Okay.
We have to do that with payroll on our stuff. You actually have to have where it went through the bank and in and out.
So that it shows the recipient actually received the money.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, with that then.
Who's next?
Who wants to speak up next? Well, let me just make sure I have everybody identified. We've got Holden Chief, Eastland Chief, Ranger Chief, Rising Star Chief, Cisco Chief.
Carbon.
I can't see behind me. Carbon Chief is here as well. Who are we missing? Anybody else? Desmond. Desmond called me last week and said he couldn't be here because he had somewhere else, but he was going to send him. Representative? Anybody here representing Desmond Fire Department? Okay, maybe not. Anybody here representing Gorman Fire Department? No. Okay. All right, so who wants to be first? Or do you want me just to pick on somebody? I'll just start over here working my way across then. Chief Richardson, so what would you like to have? What are your needs at Olin?
Our first need is we'd like to use the money to put a generator in our station. I've worked on getting us a quote on that. The guy, we were using our local dealer here, and he come back and told us about the end of it. It would take 9 months to get it.
Wow.
So I've called 2 other people. They're supposed to be coming to give us quotes, see what that's going to cost, see what we have left after we get the generator done. then we want to try to buy some equipment that we need to update some of the outdated stuff we got.
Did he give you any kind of a ballpark as to what that generator might cost? Or not, you'd rather not say?
It's gonna be in the $20,000 range.
Okay.
He did say that. So, I mean, the biggest majority of it will go for the generator
So
system.
this is one generator set at the Olin VFD?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That will run the whole station.
Okay.
So, they were looking in the ballpark of about a 36 kW generator to run that station. So, that's what I was initially told by the guy here local.
Okay.
The other two, I don't know what they're gonna, they're both having to come out of the Metroplex, so, you know, it's gonna be a higher price tag than what it was for local, so.
And we don't have to make a decision today, but we need to kind of get an idea of what, after y'all's chiefs meeting last week, or I guess 2 weeks ago now, get an idea of what everybody's thinking about to make sure that we have the money set aside, encumbered, we call it, set aside to pay for what your request is.
That is what our game plan for right now for Odin is to put a generator in the station once I finally get a quote, and then update some older equipment afterwards.
So if we just buy one piece of equipment like that, then all we need is just to show the paper trail as to where we paid them and they can proceed with equipment in and pay for equipment basically. And then MOU saying what we're gonna do is pay for their equipment up to a certain level or whatever.
I think you were talking about air tanks for the other.
Well, we've learned that we can't do air packs,
Really?
so,
That's interesting.
yeah.
Generators are okay, but not air pumps.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great.
Well, folks, it's gonna get crazier as we get deeper into this ARPA thing. We're just touching the surface here, so.
That's what our intent is for right now. And
Okay,
once we get some prices, we'll get an MOU rolled up and all that good stuff, and
okay.
I'll come back with it.
We've given Cisco Fire Department 25,000. I don't know what the other requests are, but do we want to let Chief Richard come back to us with the dollar amounts, or say we'll spend up to a certain amount?
I think up to 25 is what we kind of talked about for everybody.
All right, so with the motion, I'm just kind of thinking out loud here, would the motion be to allow an expenditure to Olin VFD of up to 25,000 from ARPA funds for the purchase of a generator?
I'll look at that.
Okay, does that suit you, Chief?
And do we need to put equipment on there just because whatever's left will?
Well, the other equipment's gotta be something that we can spend it on. We would have to, I think maybe if we buy the generator first, let's see what we've got left, and then try to find something else that's usable under the umbrella of these rules that we've got to operate with.
That would-
Okay, so we've got a motion and a second.
What was the motion
The
again?
motion was to spend up to $25,000 for the Olin VFD,
Okay.
for them to purchase a generator for their station. And possibly other eligible
Equipment.
equipment. So, that's your motion?
Yes, sir.
Let Don get caught up.
That's Robert and Andy.
Right, so we have a motion and a second for that. Any further discussion? Anything else, Chief? All in favor, say aye. Aye as well, it's unanimous.
Thank you.
Good. Oh, yes, sir?
Judge, yeah, that December deadline, is that deadline for the MOU or to actually spend the money?
December deadline,
She was,
that's next year.
okay, next year,
That's December 22.
okay.
Actually, 2024,
Yeah.
Well,
to obligate the funds. But for our fiscal year,
we've got several milestones we've got to hit in there to make it work. But we're gonna get another payment that comes in supposedly, I mean, it's all kind of up in the air. Supposedly, we'll get another payment to us next summer at some point. It's got to all be spent by 24. That's already changed a little bit. At first, we were told it was gonna be the end of 22 for the first payment. That's already changed a little bit. Okay, Chief Williamson?
So, in our discussion through the members, and also in discussion with the command staff, we're we're trying to be assured of the capabilities of what the ARPA qualifies for. So we don't want to just pick something randomly out of the air and then discover later down the road that this equipment qualified, which would have been a higher priority need for us. The generator, the replacement of our generator is our fallback because we are have confirmed that does qualify. But we are in some. We do have a high priority of needs in some other equipment areas, and we're just in the process of finding out what qualifies and what doesn't qualify. I realize there's a deadline to that, and we're working on this diligently, but we want to measure twice and cut once on our priorities. But the generator would be our fallback. It was a used unit that was installed,
Right.
and it
That's
does
been up there a long time.
and it does have a long time. So, very good possibility that'll be where we focus. But we just want to make sure some of our other priorities, if they're eligible, we have the opportunity to address those. And Cisco's been helping really all of us in determining whether and helping us determine what equipment we found out the SCBA's did not qualify.
That came straight from Langford, so, I mean, it is what it is.
They would not. And we don't have to take action on Eastland VFD's request today. If you want to put some more work into it, we can put it back on the agenda. Whenever you tell me it's ready, just
Yes, sir.
let me know.
If we could do that, I appreciate it. I do understand there's a time on this, and we are working diligently, but if we could table that or.
It's a rare one-time opportunity to get some kind of upgrade for every volunteer fire department in the county.
Yeah.
Okay, so at this point, you don't have a particular request?
No, sir.
Okay, so we'll just table on the request for, do we have a motion to table on the request for Eastland VFD? Do we have a second? All right, motion and second to table the request for ARPA funds for Eastland VFD. Whenever you get it worked out, let me know or let your commissioner know, and we'll get back on the agenda.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Good deal. Chief?
Judge, what we're gonna,
All in favor?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just jumped across that. It's unanimous. Yes, sir, Chief.
I'm gonna echo a little bit about Eastland. Today's more of an informative meeting for me, just to kind of figure out what are our options to be able to, what can we purchase?
Right.
As they've said this morning, our biggest needs were our air packs. And since that's not available, I don't want to just throw something out there and just say, because that money is available. I don't know, is there a place we can go? I know Walter's been helpful, try to figure out exactly what is covered, or are we just gonna throw it out there and then?
There's a website that we've been using that has like 6 categories. They're pretty broad categories. In fact, it doesn't drill down to things like SCBA's. It just kind of gives us a broad categories about emergency response, hospitals, that sort of thing, which is what we've acted on so far. Water, wastewater. You'll have to go to the website and just look it up.
It's a live and learn situation, and what it is like this: somebody somewhere bought them, they sent it all through, could be anywhere in the United States. They sent it through and they said, no, you can't do that. And they got stuck holding the bag. That's what the problem is. It's got a broad spectrum in there that says you can use it for this, but until somebody actually buys and spends money on it, they don't rule on it.
Gotcha.
So that's what's so crazy about this. They say, well, you can do this, but then when you do it, they say, no, that's not covered on that kind of stuff. Whoever bought them got stuck having to pay for them and take them back on there. And that's just the way it's crazy the way they set it out there, because they don't set a set of rules that say, well, you can buy A, B, C, D. It's like you can go do payroll. And then you come back and you do a payroll deal and they say, oh no, not that kind of payroll. That's the way they do that stuff.
We waited a long time just to get to 5 or 6 categories.
Yeah.
We're gonna send you the money, but we don't have the rules yet. Well, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever in the world that we work in, which is pretty strict county. So, Chief Fairbanks and Chief Williamson have both been working on what they can do. You might just check with them and see what can be done.
And to be real honest, until somebody buys something, you won't have it cleared. I mean, until somebody buys a hose, and it sends the bill in, and they say, no, you can't do that. Then that's when everybody will get notified, oh, you can't buy that. They said no. Until they actually see the purchase come through and determine whether or not it is, nobody will actually know. Now, none of us want to be that guy that makes that
Right,
purchase.
especially if you're buying a $25,000 generator.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Then you find out it's not.
Well, I think the generators and stuff like that, those were bought, or those have already been bought. So people have already bought the generators throughout the United States. So, but I think, you know, if you try to buy a real fire truck, I think you're going to see then maybe that say, oh no, or yes. But the problem is they don't send out the deal that's saying yes either. They only send out the ones saying no. So that's the problem. They don't notify everybody that, oh, this VFD bought a truck and it was okay. But they send out the one that the VFD bought the SCBUs and say, no, you can't do that on there. It's not a real laid out procedure on the way they do that kind of stuff.
Well, we're definitely gonna have a little more legwork to do then on our end, just to, get somebody, I mean, it makes most sense to do a generator because our tornado siren is all hooked to our department, and when the wind blows in Carton, the electricity goes off. So, that makes sense to us on that end, if that is something, so, but I'm gonna be honest, we've got a little more work to do.
Another thing too is that what we found out through Langford was if you're, like our fire station is the emergency operations center, so you can pretty much spend a lot of money. That's a real broad deal. You can't just do any city building, but if it's the emergency operations center, it changes the whole game plan, and there's a lot more you can do with it. I mean, like we're going to get 3-phase electricity put into our building because of that. It's the emergency operations center. So all these guys getting generators, that's a done deal because most of these towns, they operate our emergency operations center is the fire station, more than likely. So,
Chief Forbes, it says here, and I'm reading from the Texas Association of Counties American Rescue Plan Information and Resources. Eligible uses are support the public health response to the coronavirus pandemic, address the negative economic effects caused by COVID, replace lost public sector revenue, provide premium pay for workers performing essential work during the pandemic, invest in water and sewer infrastructure, and invest in broadband infrastructure. Now, you would think supporting the public health response to the coronavirus pandemic would give you the right to go buy SCBAs. I would think so.
Yeah.
Self-contained breathing apparatus is pretty darn important if you go into a house fire or whatever. But just like Commissioner Raines is saying, this stuff is still kind of a work in progress.
That good?
But I think if you'll just look at you'll just Google American Rescue Plan, Information and Resources, you'll get all sorts of information about that.
Well, Judge, do I need to give you something today? I mean, I'm happy to say a generator or something to that fact.
Well, it's up to you guys. I mean, I don't know what your needs are. That's why we're all here today. Do you need a generator more than anything else?
Well, just mentioned a little bit ago as you stepped out, that generator also would run our siren, the tornado siren that we got through a grant several years ago. It's connected to our station. If I look at our community, that looks like that's gonna be one of our biggest needs.
Okay, and then so like in the case of Olin, do you want to try to put some numbers together and bring
Yes,
it
sir.
back to us at a later date?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this is kind of an informational meeting where we all try to decide what's best for everybody.
And that's what I was hoping to get out of that today as I came in, just figure out, okay, where's our direction going? What do we have to use?
Judge, I think I'm sorry. I think the SCBA, if the people that are needing SCBAs the most, I think that's what's going to happen. I know it's not happening right now, but it's going to eventually be like, yeah, that's okay. They're going to eventually say that that's okay. So I think if your priority is SCBAs, I would hold off a little bit, because you say, 2024 you have until you have to. But what is the county's requirement on this particular offer? Are you guys giving the fire departments a deadline when they have to have something?
I would like to go ahead and get it resolved. I mean, we all know I'm leaving at the end of next year. I would like to get it resolved for sure before the end of next year.
Because we work at departments, I work at departments where we're doing CPR on a COVID patient in an SCBA because it prevents the spread. And then they came out with all this other new gadgets, respirators and stuff like that, that are a lot more easier to handle than wearing an SCBA. And that could be what they're coming from. It's like, well, you don't need to wear an SCBA, you wear this for stopping the spread of COVID. And that could be what they're looking at. But I think the SCBA eventually is going to be in the running. It's just not right now.
I don't know why it wouldn't be, but I think, Chief Forbes, for today's discussion, if you want to go back and talk with your fire department some more about it, City of Carbon, whatever, I mean, the City of Carbon's going to get a little bit of money, but
They didn't apply.
Carbon didn't apply.
The only
They've got an
county-
opportunity here
the
for like
only city in the county that didn't apply. was
about
the city of Carbon.
$60,000. Carbon
Yeah.
could have gotten. Okay, well, that's their business, not mine. I got my own stuff here.
And what I was gonna say is October 31st is the end of another reporting period. So we're probably gonna find out more that they will not pay for or that they will pay for after this.
And would y'all be able to share that, or how do we acquire that information?
I think Judy Langford is gonna be your best resource.
The one that's managing, that's Cisco's contract?
The way that's working with Judy Langford or any kind of grant administrator, the county's got the money directly from the federal government. It came into our account. We didn't even have the opportunity to say no, it just came into the account. Cities have to make the request, but they've got to go through a grant administrator because their money went to the state. And then they make the request to the state with a grant administrator, then fund it into the cities. And the cities, I know the larger cities are getting a sizable amount of money. Cisco and Eastland both are going to get around $800,000 apiece. So they're getting a sizable amount of money too. And everybody's got needs, but we have an opportunity here to help the fire department. So I think we need to make it work if we can.
And Jody, as we discussed in our chief's meeting, it's sharing that information.
Sure.
So we'll have a group deal going, and anything that anyone learns, we'll share it out there for all of us to.
Well, it's good for me to know what, I thought it was coming down today, basically what we had to.
Not necessarily. I mean, if like Chief Richardson, if they've got something ready to go, or if Chief Fox is about telling me in a few minutes what they want, that's great if it fits in with those eligible categories we've got working on.
Okay.
So if you want to go back and discuss it with your folks, just let us know in some future. And again, just like I told Chief Williamson, if you'll just let me know or let your commissioner know, we'll put it back on the agenda for some meeting in the future.
It's just for us, it was gonna be easier for each one of y'all to tell us what you need than it was to try to do a blanket deal for all fire departments, because it's gonna be such a, record-keeping procedure. It's gonna be easier for this than it is that on there. And that's just the way it is, because this grant stuff, I mean, it's very labor intensive, paperwork intensive on keeping up with everything. They want a lot of paperwork.
So do you want to just bring us back something at a future
Yes, sir.
meeting? Okay. Can we have a motion then to table the request from Carbon VFD? Motion made, seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye as well. And just let somebody know, either my office or your commissioner know that you're ready to come back and talk to us today.
Okay, thank you.
Our regular meetings are on the second and fourth Monday of each month, unless the holiday pushes it one day or something. Okay. Chief Fox, you're up next.
Yes, sir. We are building an emergency operations center in our station. We got most of the work done on the building room itself. But we want to do the emergency operations center with radios and computers and this, that, and the other. But at this time, I can't tell you exactly where the money's going to be spent. We want the money to go towards that. But right now, we have some legwork to do to understand what we can spend it on and how we need to go forward towards our emergency operations.
You're gonna take that big room to the east side and turn that into the EOC?
Yes, sir. We've done all the remodel. We had donations from members of Buzzy to remodel that room. I think I showed you pictures the other day. And the remodel is done, but we still have a lot of work to do as far as getting things ready for emergency operations.
Okay. So you want us to table yours until you let somebody know?
Until we know exactly what we're doing. I don't want to say something that come down the road.
Okay. All right, can we have a motion in the table, any kind of request from Ranger VFD? Motion. And do we have a second?
Second.
Motion made, seconded, to table Ranger VFD's request. All in favor, say aye. Aye as well. Okay, Chief Consencio.
I came prepared with a list today, but after hearing some of the other discussion, I want y'all to table ours as well.
Okay, okay. Do you have a generator, Rising Star?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So is maybe Olin and Carbon the only two that don't have generators?
We have one, but we're hoping to upgrade
Okay,
that also.
okay. All right, so with that then, can we have a motion to table the request for ARPA funds from Rising Star?
No, I want to know just like Josh got up his sleeve. First thing we were going to ask for was a Lucas compression device because we were so far from EMS that CPR just nearly killed our guys. Low volunteer turnout. You've never done CPR for an hour and 15 minutes by yourself. You got to try it. No. We know that that's approved on the approved ARPA list, and then we're going to look at some AEDs.
What's that run, Josh?
16,000 just right off the counter. It's going to be 16 some change.
Yeah.
But the hospital just bought 4 of them, and that's great. They're nice, but
Don't do you any good.
It's 30 minutes away.
Yeah.
Okay. But you want to table?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and table after hearing some of this other stuff.
Do we have a motion and a second? Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. And so Rising Star is tabled as well. And so we've got Olin, Eastland, Carbon, Ranger, Rising Star, and Cisco. We don't have Gorman or Desdemona. Do we have any kind of information maybe from those two fire departments? No?
The conversation that we had with Chief Hart from Desdemona in our meeting, I think would probably fit the consensus of further research and to find the applicable that qualify for expenditures. I'm sure he would fit.
I feel certain for Gorman as well. I had their assistant chief, Cogburn, and I visited Saturday in Ballgame. That's what he was asking me what we were looking at. So I kind of feel like they'll be in the same deal.
I wish they were here to talk to us. Do they have a generator at Gorman?
Gorman does.
Gorman does. What about Desdemona?
I don't think so.
Last time I drove around the building, I didn't notice generator lists somewhere else. Okay. Well, we'll just have to take up everybody else's request as they come in. We'll put it back on the agenda whenever somebody tells me or your commissioner that you're ready for it. Money's here, we just have to make sure we spend it properly. And account for it. We got to account for it too. When we do this money, it's got to be accounted back so we don't all get into a jam. Okay, anything else from BFDs about that? Commissioners, anything? All right, so we'll move on.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for working on that.
Thank you.
You bet. You need a break? All right. All right, we're good. All right, so item number 3 is the next item back up. Start down the agenda. Discuss, consider financial software systems issues with I3 software. Scott Carrington, and Scott is here, and Todd Nichols. Todd Nichols is here. Gentlemen, come on down. We'll get you another chair. Come on down and have a seat.
Perfectly adjusted. This one's more comfortable.
Did y'all come from Metroplex?
No, we're based out of Shreveport, actually.
Shreveport,
Yeah.
Come from Metroplex.
They came through the middle.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
They
Come
count?
through, yeah, buzzed right on through. Wasn't busy there, was it?
Is it ever not busy
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
But it was Sunday. so
It was
should've been
Sunday, yeah.
quiet.
It
Is
wasn't
Cisco
quite-
already
yeah,
done
you're
theirs?
exactly
Or
right.
was
It could've been.
They already asked?
Yeah, we done theirs.
Wow.
Still cutting up
Last
one
night.
time, still caught,
Oh.
standstill. On a Sunday, you know.
I was driving back and forth to doctor appointments in Fort Worth during COVID shutdown. And there was like no traffic. And I recently went to one and was thinking I was gonna have the same no traffic. I was so
But it's
wrong.
just like Poland, they don't have just a handful of volunteers.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, Travis.
One
Yeah,
fire truck? Yeah, the first time I went.
he works with us
It was, I
whatever.
don't know if you watch
He said they was trying to get something together and his wife was gonna bring it up here.
Yeah,
It was really.
it's kind of spooky.
They got more than one fire truck.
Yeah, they got some brush trucks.
Oh, well, they're doing all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesse's leaving. He said you took too long, Jesse.
Jesse.
All right. Well, gentlemen, we've got a problem. So let's get into it and see what we need to do to fix it. Who wants to start? Loretta's office, commissioner's offices?
My biggest problem is having to bring paperwork over to the courthouse. We gotta figure out a way to stop that, because it's not gonna work. And it's too time consuming. You get on, and I know they're working on it. I mean, I understand you guys are working on it, but when we get on there to do PO, I'm able to do one thing, and then it locks me up, and I have to shut my system down, log back on, and start all over again. Every time on there. And it'll come up and says, not responding, not responding, not responding. And then and I'm an early guy. I mean, I know there ain't nobody else on the computer when I'm sitting in there at 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And it's that way every time. And I know Loretta said they were working on trying to go straight to a server on there, or y'all are, and that would help maybe alleviate that. But it ain't alleviated it as of this morning.
There's a problem with the general ledger between the migration of the data over, where it's not coming over correctly into the new system.
Yeah.
And that is correct. Yes, the general ledger is like a mix of fiscal years.
Okay.
It's not true 2021. And I just had to go back to net data and finish my juvenile probation because the information in net data was correct. So I've actually been entering in net data again, even after the conversion.
Okay.
But the general ledger numbers are not pulling correctly. And I understand because we didn't do just a number and start from there. Our records go back to 2006.
Correct.
That it's trying to pull everything, but it's got multiple years in the current general ledger.
Yeah, and that was related to the funds that had the overlap of different fiscals for the different funds. Is that the one?
No, it's every fund.
Okay, every fund.
Yeah. And
You're talking about like when we're entering and we're seeing the number.
that's the budget.
Yeah, the budget numbers over here that aren't even close to being correct.
Right,
Ever.
because period 8 or August is still open. I can't close August until juvenile and adult are finished. I still have adult probation to try to figure out. So until I close August and then September, and we're not closing September probably till the end of November, it's not gonna show current budget, which is a problem for all of our departments.
Yeah.
Christina, you want to join in? Christina's our treasurer, so she's in the middle of all this. What the commissioner's talking to you about is a pretty small slice about what she's having to deal with.
Yeah.
Yes, and we're in contact with Mel and our support staff all the time about what we need. So they're constantly working on getting things better for us. They're working on it.
So what we would like to find out is when we can get these issues resolved. We know you're working on it, but
Yeah.
can you give us a timeline somewhat?
Well, I don't have all the specifics in order to give you a timeline on it. One of the things that was important for me and Todd to come was to let you know that we are dedicated to working on it, and we'll continue to keep working on it. We have over 100 government offices using our unfortunately, there are often challenges when it comes to starting up a new software, converting old numbers. There's often difficulties in the conversion process and then getting those straightened out. And we want to resolve everything as quickly as we can. It's time, it's effort that has to be made. But all of those challenges that were just discussed and working with the team on a daily basis, that's really what's going to get all the problems solved. I know Charlie's been working on the connection issue, that he was out last week, I think, and also
Did the
had
server
some
replacement last week?
He did,
Yeah.
yes.
and then also had some additional things to connect with you on in order to get your connection stable. And each of the issues are being worked on. I can't say it's going to be a week for this and
Right.
3 days for that. I just, don't have enough detail at this point. But I'm happy to work on that with the team. Generally for us, it's a matter of planning and scheduling, prioritizing when there's so many things that have to be touched on based on the development staff or the technical staff that have to be involved.
Judge Glenn's our JP Precinct 1. He wanted to say something.
I was gonna say, I don't know if it's been brought to your attention, but your programming for the scanners, doesn't Gian Hall with the scanner program I need for scanning in people's registration forms, warrants and everything? So basically it shuts down my system and then I have to call Carrie to have them go online, and then that data gets involved, and usually it's about an hour later I finally get back in my system.
Just to do a scan?
Just to get back to where I can scan
Yeah.
again.
I made that mistake too, Judge. I've got 2 scanners and I hit one of them and it screwed everything up. I mean, so I unplugged it. It took long enough to get it back going. I didn't want to mess with it again in there.
Well, and basically, Icon, which I think y'all are keeping the Icon, runs off of RVI, which is
Right.
how to scan.
Correct.
They have to turn off RVI to scan into GFA because they conflict.
Okay, yeah, that's,
It's a pathway.
I would guess.
And
Thank you for bringing that up. That's actually one that I haven't heard. I'm sure there's people in our office that have heard, but that's the first time that I'd heard that. But Judge, I will address a couple things. Charlie does want the remote access piece. We spoke with Loretta.
Mhm.
She recommended that, hey, let's try for these remote access people to get you on a separate kind of method for doing that directly to the server. We feel like that's going to be also, Mel is in connection with NetData. They're a sister company, so there's a cooperative arrangement on this this data migration, and so they're sitting down side by side to kind of help kind of figure out what that is. Again, timelines, I can't speak to exactly what that timeline would be, but I know that we have a cooperative arrangement with the other side of that data, which is a much better situation than we would be in.
How many other counties had you rolled this software into in Texas? Just like number 2? Are we number 2?
Number
3?
2.
Number
Yeah.
2?
But-
Did the other county have any of these issues?
So in the beginning, there was definitely some conversion issues as well.
Were they using
Again,
net data, or
unfortunately-
do you know?
I'm sorry?
Were they using net data?
Yes.
Okay.
No. They were from EDocTech. EDocTech.
Oh,
That was
sorry.
the one, yeah. That was
Okay.
the one
Somewhere
that
in the
came-
panhandle.
So then it would be the
Yeah.
first net data rollover.
This was the first net data rollover.
Okay.
And we were aware of that. I mean, that's been discussed the whole time. We knew, and part of the appeal to Christina and I is so we could kind of help create this and make it work for us. So that was not a secret at all from any point.
There are a lot of, as Todd mentioned, we are sister companies with NetData, so we have a positive relationship versus a competitive one,
Right.
which would make this even much more difficult
Be
if it was
great,
coming from
yeah.
a competitive standpoint. But we're trying to keep the communication open, and as any new challenges arise, making sure that we address those as quickly as we can. Particularly in regards to data, to us, that's one of the most important things: getting the data right, the numbers right, and then also the other team addressing the hardware connection, the scanning type issues, which again, being in over 100 government offices that use the software, that do the scanning, that do the connection, we will fix the problems. It's just the unique effort here is mainly around the data, and then coming from the net data system and their unique setup that they had, connecting to their specific hardware.
I've never described it as unique, but we'll go with that.
So, you know,
Incidentally, we, just in terms of delivering and showing
Yeah.
progress, I think we've got our, maybe the third set of updates ready, that I think they
To
talked
push
to you
out.
maybe this morning, to push out the third set of, hey, addressing some specific things, some of those things obviously requiring, development involved. And so that steady stream of, hey, fix, document an issue, what does it need to be fixed, and then actually delivering those fixes out. That process is steady, and as a process of our business, we're just not the kind of company that just drops you after training.
Well, there's the problem. Ain't none of us had any training.
Okay.
Yeah, that was one.
And we were just thrown into this, and it kind of, especially at the beginning of the end of a fiscal year, with somebody like my fat guy, I very keep records, and I like printing my budget every Monday morning to look at. I can't figure out how to print my budget except for line by line, and I don't want to print 60-something pages.
I can help you with that.
So you can print the whole thing, Mrs. Loretta?
Your whole budget? Yes, my problem right now is we're using a statement of revenue and expense and it doesn't total. So you can see your lines, but you can't see the totals.
And we have additional reporting, matter of fact, Scott got a report this morning that there's some additional reporting that will be in your future release.
in work.
Well, if we can't reconcile the general ledger account, that's like basic bottom line information that we've got to get done like
Yes.
today, so.
Well, and like what Kathy wanted me to say, it took her 4 hours to get her POs done one day, trying to figure it out. And she just says she don't have time to sit for 4 hours trying to get these POs done.
Was she remoting in? If she was remoting in, those issues should be fixed.
Fixed now? Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
because it's very, very, very slow if you remote in. I did have the ability, and the court does not know this, week before last at conference, to sit down with Todd and
Wendy and then,
Deanne and Sarah. Deanne and Sarah are net data. And
yeah, we were side by side
Yeah.
with her, to expose some of the issues and some of the concerns. And also, since she was remoting in, we were actually able to kind of have a diagnostic on, hey, this is not just someone who's being needy. This is legitimate, very legitimate concerns. We were able to see that kind of in person. So we appreciated her taking time at conference to do that.
Sheriff Wegger, would you like to join in? Sheriff Wegger also is a dispatch administrator, so he's got a lot of area to cover.
Well, a lot of the problems we have been mentioned, but, we have a problem whether or not I'm gonna get to see the PO at all. And I'll send out an email and say, hey, can somebody, send me my PO so I can do this. The other problem has to do with the budget not being in the correct fiscal year. So some of our stuff will go in and go through, but if we go to the next one after April has entered in 50 items, taking her 45 minutes to get there to get a PO entered or a requisition entered, and then she gets there and it doesn't have enough money because it's not in the right fiscal year, it disappears. She don't get it. So then she has to re-enter it all again. And so I've just told her to stop entering POs for right now because she's just doing redundant work over and over and over for no reason.
It took me a little while to figure out when you mash print, they disappeared.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh crap, I just deleted something.
And if it didn't go through because of the budget's not in the right fiscal year, then it disappears and the PO completely, the requisition completely goes away, and she has to start completely from scratch. And a lot of our stuff over there, when you enter 50 gas tickets,
Right.
it takes a little bit of time to get that done. It's not an easy process. I mean, it's an easy process, but it's time consuming to do that.
Yeah.
So we're having a lot of those issues as well.
yes, so if there was the ability
for whoever's entering a requisition to tell the system up front, this is the period and year it needs to be in, and it would pull the budget for that fiscal year, showing them what their budget is. That would probably alleviate all of that.
And pulling the budget is also, I know you've showed me, Sonia showed me, we've gone through it a few times, and it's still jacked up. It's not an easy thing to get correct.
Well, correct is the optional
Correct's
word.
and then you don't know if it's right or not.
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem. We can't trust the data that we're now receiving. We don't know if it's right or not. And for years, even with all the problems we've had with net data, we've gotten where we could trust it. You know, we're gonna go through all these reports here in a little while, and we could trust that net data would have the proper, at least we're in the proper fiscal year.
Well, we got to figure out a way to not have to bring hard copy POs over, because it's taking
Wet signatures.
2 weeks
Is that
for.
just an intermediate problem that we're having, a transitional problem that we're having? Eventually we'll get to where we don't have to do that?
Yeah, because it's taking 2 weeks at least to get a PO through the system, and that's not going to work.
Yeah, the vendors aren't happy about that.
No, they're not happy.
Can y'all fix that? That's what our question is.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's going to be a little bit on what they want too.
Well, and that's, Christina wants
What?
a hard copy PO and the detail for her records. Now, if y'all remember when COVID started, everybody was bringing paper over, and when COVID started, I said stop. And y'all were scanning everything to my office. I had one employee that's all she was doing was printing everybody's purchase
Yeah, but we
orders.
were doing the same thing in the rip out books, so we can go back to the rip out books if we've got to bring them over.
Yeah.
I mean, and somebody else can do all the paperwork.
I've always brought the hard copies, that's all I brought. You know, I
Yeah.
did my requisition, I printed it out, or one purchase order, I printed it off and brought it up here. I mean, but this system, I'm just gonna leave it sitting there until y'all can figure out what you're doing.
Our first focus is the data, get the data correct.
If
That's,
I can't see my numbers, I can't do anything. And the people that live here that vote for me, because I can't go out there and put a rock on the road, because I don't know how much money's in there. That's the issue. So, I mean,
and that's a continuing process as we go through the funds and through the years, periods, in order to reconvert where we need to.
Will it eventually get where Kathy's asking, like, where she only sees hers POs and not everybody else's, and prints out everybody else's off?
And that's something we've discussed, that the POs that show up for Robert are only ones for departments he enters for.
Okay, so that should, okay.
Yeah, because when you're looking at that list of 500,
Well, you got to go by the dollar amount, because there's no other name on there to tell you even
There's no
the
vendor
department
name.
number or line item or nothing.
And
Yeah.
No
strangely
vendor.
enough, that is actually something new to our system. We
No.
have
The
never had
vendor
that
name
request
shows
before.
up.
Even with all the other offices we're in, they've never, generally because the PO process is something that's centralized within those groups, so that we've not had that request before. So that will be something that's newly developed into our software for y'all.
For the signatures, I guess Kathy talked to somebody about electronic signatures for the POs. I know, I guess that's what you're doing when you're signing them?
well, Kathy had contacted Melanie, and Melanie asked me about it, and I told her rather than everybody having an electronic signature, I'd rather the information that's already in the system populate into the POs instead of everybody having to do an electronic signature. So
Well-
who entered it, who approved it,
Right.
who in my office, of course, we're all auditor when we go in, but
Yeah.
still that it would show that on the PO.
No, it comes up different in y'all's office on who does what, because I've got copies of it on who did what and when. And like it says, Sonia sent it to you, you submitted it to Sonia back, and then you signed it and sent it to Christina. You can print all that off
Okay,
to know
on
what.
the history it does,
Yeah.
but not on the PO itself.
Yeah.
There was some effort to get to request to have that print on the actual PO, the history piece section, because it would provide a a transaction log.
And if you want a original signed PO, I don't know why we can't scan those in and attach them to the PO just like we do the requisitions.
I still have to have it printed out. I have to have a paper copy.
You print it out.
I can't print out for 20 departments. I have a full-time and a part-time.
So here on out, we gotta bring them over no matter what. Is what
Well,
you're
it's gonna
saying?
be a matter what.
That's what we're saying, right, Miss Loretta?
If that's what she wants in her paperwork, yes.
That hasn't stopped. I haven't stopped having a paper copy.
No,
If we scan them
it's-
into the system, why, if we scan the PO into the, I think what he's saying, it was scan it in where we're scanning in all the requisition and the invoices and all that, if it's got scanned in there, why do you need a paper copy? If it's all in the system, there, if you need to see it, boom, there it is, if you ever need it, you can print it all out. I don't know, I'm just asking.
For my records, I need a paper copy. And there's certain information when we pull purchase orders to accounts payable that we have to put in the system. So we can't pull up 200 purchase orders on this screen to enter the information on this screen that we need.
Why not?
I have a full-time and a part-time. We don't have time for that with everything else we do.
But that would be faster. Christine, if you pull it up right here and pull it up right here, it'd be faster than digging out that paper, wouldn't it?
No,
Will this system not integrate with your?
there's certain things that it doesn't pull over from here to here.
That's what these guys are supposed to be fixing.
And 90% of the purchase orders have something that has to go back with the check.
Are you also concerned about loss of data if you don't have a paper
Yes,
trail on it?
yes, yes.
I would
Sir.
be. All this grant work that we do and everything, I've got a paper file on it and a digital file just in case something goes down.
Yeah, but
Yes, sir.
for the last year you had them.
Yes, sir, I have. Her office would print them out.
I'm talking about what goes back with the, because we didn't.
She would print it out. She printed out everything that y'all sent her. Purchase
That's what
order
I'm
and
saying.
information. And then that came to my office.
Yeah.
And then we had to make copies from that, so we have the original in our office and a copy that goes back.
You're trying to make sure that the paper trail is right.
Yes, sir.
Well, technically, you don't have the original. We become the custodian of records of everything over the last year because we kept the originals. By statute, we were the custodian of records for all that. You don't have to make it because we had to on that. And that's what I'm trying to figure out is if that was working like that and we're trying to go paperless, then I understand if something's not populating for you to be able to pay the check, then we need to fix that. That's what these guys are sitting here for. They need to fix that where it populates from the POs over. As far as additional information going back with the checks, I just don't see the need for it because there's not that much.
There is. Kathy will do a purchase order that has 20 to 50 payments to, say, Eastland Hospital. We have to send a copy of each one of those back. The hospital needs that to show the breakdown of how she does her discount, and we have to send that whole information of employee benefits, or not employee benefits, the EOB explanation.
Here, Kathy.
Yeah.
Friends and health.
Yeah.
And
if
who
the
do
auditor-
you get
when
in
the auditors
touch with
come
when
in,
you
if I
have
have to pull something by paper,
questions?
it's not gonna be
Our
there.
support team.
If y'all
Uh-huh.
So,
give it to me.
Do you have numbers and
oh yeah, and emails,
emails?
absolutely. Yes.
Okay, because those will be, do y'all have that? Numbers and email?
It's not going to do us any good. We've tried it. I've tried the email and nobody answered.
You have it, Loretta, that I can get numbers and email? Kathy's asking, how do you get in touch with them when you have problems?
Okay, there is a support email
Okay.
that,
Loretta sent an email out last week. or
Yeah.
week before.
All
Well, all I got to
Back
say is
email.
the five of us sitting up here decide to pay the bill every year. So
we can very easily decide not to pay it, and then we'll figure out what we can do.
So, and I understand the frustrations, I truly do. It's never easy switching software, unfortunately. But we will get them resolved. We will get them
Well,
resolved.
if it's, part of it's not y'all, trust me, I mean, y'all smart enough to figure that crap out. But if there's a situation where it's not populating from a PO to a check, a stub, or whatever, that's look like to me, that's a programming issue that can be easily resolved on that. Because it's a paper trail all the way from when we first enter a requisition all the way to when the check is cut. And that I promised it would populate from beginning to end on that. And it looks like to me that would follow all the way from the beginning to the end and populate every field in there. You know, I think that's something that we can get along, and that ain't gonna be no big deal.
How are we gonna resolve the
We should be able to
issue
fix
with the general ledger account not being able to be reconciled?
So,
That data has got to come out of net data to get to your system, our system that we have. How's that gonna get resolved?
so we're breaking down everything that was in the net data tables, going through, reviewing them, figuring out where the problem occurred in the conversion. We'll fix that, and then we'll have to reconvert that data with the latest data.
And I think they have done that once already, and aligned things closer, still seeing some differences and looking at having to do that again.
Because the biggest challenge is just the way that the data is organized in one system, and then moving that to the new organization in the other system.
Do you think it'd be a relatively, do you think it'd be relatively easy, since net data is more or less a sister company? It's not like, as you say, it's not an oppositional company.
Yeah.
It's not something that we bid and gave you the contract on, and they didn't get the contract. They're just sending it all over to you.
Yeah.
Looks like that flow would be pretty easy to make happen.
Yeah, we
Realize they may have a different system, but
Well, I think from a technical side, I can probably address a little of that. I think the way that net data had traditionally exported data was more summary based, to say, hey, here's a general ledger account and here's the balance as of a specific period, that kind of thing. And so they're in our system, it's very transactional, keeping that full transactional history all the way back. And so I think that's where we're seeing some of the alignment, where they hadn't been in the traditional habit of exporting data in this really granular way. And obviously, first time that we've done it with them. So I think it's the way that we maintain very granular pieces of data is not the normal way for them to export. If they were sending this to a competitive product, they would have just sent over like, hey, here's your balances as of the end of the period.
so your software is not recognizing it because it is too broad-based.
Yeah, well, the data coming in, like I said, I think there's compete pieces on both sides, but
Okay.
where they're changing the way that they're sending the data over, and then we're changing the way we're consuming that data.
Loretta, what do you see them needing to do to make this work right?
Well, and we'll work together to get the general ledger straightened and reconciled. That's number one. Budget, and I've explained to GFA, and I understand y'all work with school districts more than counties per se. Budget is everything to counties. So stressing that budget reports need to be correct and accessible. We've discussed that.
Yes.
So we're working to get it done, and when we converted to net data, we converted from QuickBooks, and it was a nightmare. The only thing is, everybody didn't enter in at that time, so all the departments are seeing it right now.
That was 14 years ago, so.
Yes.
And that was new for us too, was the concept of everybody entering in as opposed to a centralized group. We had actually expected and are working on rescheduling more people for training, to come out for training, because we had originally, we asked the wrong questions. So I'll take the blame on that. 'Cause we asked the wrong questions, and we're expecting to train 8 to 10 people, and we got here and it was 40. So we were not prepared to deliver the training that 40 people needed. And that's why we have to get more people on the ground here to do the training, redo the training.
So y'all can schedule some more training and hopefully get this to working better. as soon as possible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
For precinct 3, John, do you have anything to add we missed?
No, precinct 3, our issues are insignificant compared to some of these other issues. Our issues was only like Robert said, on Mondays, we like to print out our specific budget that pertains to precinct 3 so that we know what our account balances are. So that we know what money we can spend, what money we can't. Right now, we can't. It's just line by line. The other thing, and if Loretta says that she's working on it, she told Robert how to do it. I mean, once the general issue gets reconciled, I think that issue will go away. The other thing is, like someone else said, when you go to print your POs, there's hundreds of POs that come up on that page, and with precinct 3, we may only have 5 or 6 POs, and you've got to go through all of these to look through, try and find those POs. From our perspective, that's about the only issues we have. I don't agree.
On my screen, it has who it was entered by, and you can sort it by that.
Ours
I don't know
doesn't.
if yours does.
Ours doesn't.
Okay.
All we have is the dollar amount and the vendor name, and you've got to match those two with what your invoice said when you entered that requisition, so that you know that that's your PO.
Administrative view versus. We'll look into that. It's interesting that you said you can see it, but you can't. And maybe an administrative view that we could very simply flip over to let everybody have that view, but not be able to write.
Because see, in that data, your
things.
initials showed up, and then the auditor's initials showed up, whoever approved this. You could go down and just find your initials and print them out real fast.
Yeah, and then like when you're looking at if you went to like the vendor like Comdata, oh my goodness.
Yeah, right.
I mean it's just you got to go down all kinds to try to find something.
Right.
Of course, our focus is on this, but I also did, I heard a lot of conversation around the paperless and signing.
That's what when y'all brought this here to us to switch over, I asked that question, are we gonna be able to do that? What I understood, yeah, no problem.
Yeah, and now it's not.
Now it's not.
Yeah.
Now it's more paper.
Yeah.
So we do have some things that we do paperless signing throughout courthouses and assessor offices and things like that. Judge signing capabilities and things of that nature. So I'm going to look into that. And
yeah, we appreciate it.
Well, and I don't want to make Christina's job any harder, but I want to make it any easier. I mean,
thought it was going to make it
easier on this deal too, on there. But you got to understand, if you want me to bring them over here, somebody needs to be here at 5 o'clock in the morning. Let me in the door, because that's when I come and do my paperwork. And I have to stop what I'm doing in the day early to come over, because I've only got 2 people in my office. And, well, just one fat guy does paperwork, but the other 2 are there.
What's he talking about?
Yeah.
What's he talking about?
It's just inconvenient to have to stop what you're doing early and come over here in the afternoons to do that. Or come over early in the mornings to do it. When I thought we were fixing to do away with that, that's what this whole deal was going to do.
That's what I thought too. I remember when y'all brought Mr. Ray, I asked him.
Yeah, we all thought we were
Yeah.
going to be paperless.
But what Christine's saying, no matter what, you don't want to go paper, so right? Yeah, okay, I'm not asking.
Yeah. But at some point, you have to have it. Yeah. How it necessarily comes, if we printed it in batch at 5 a.m. or every morning or something, that would probably satisfy. Yeah, we'd have to spend more time with you to understand exactly what you need, but there's no reason why we can't be paperless too.
Loretta, what will the outside auditors need
Yes, sir.
as far as the paper copy or digital copy?
Well, and the outside auditors are looking at digital, but if they want to look at 80 documents, they're not going to stand there and look at 80 documents on the
They're gonna
screen. They're going to
sample
want
it
to see paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. And our, for case management, for example, then we have multiple people indexing at Baton Rouge, for example, good sized city. There, multiple people are indexing, multiple people are verifying. It's all paperless. There's no, not a single piece of paper. It's screen by screen. next to each other.
Well,
So-
much like we made Mr. Riley drive from Austin for his $4,000 or $5 or whatever it was, and these guys drive from Shreveport, them auditors can drive to my office and pull files out of my files too, because we paid them thousands of dollars to do that audit.
You mean the outside auditor?
Yeah.
Okay, anything else that we can think of for Scott or Todd while they're here and
No,
taking
I'm
it?
pretty sure they got all of it.
We're making notes here, that's good.
I will say, you know, if you
You
guys
really
need
wanna give
anything
them
directly,
that?
absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you.
And
Have that for Kathy.
if you guys need anything, have any questions or concerns, or you just think it's not going fast enough, please give me a call directly and
Well, I think
I'll address
you've
it.
got a good feeling about how much of a problem we have here.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got to get something resolved.
Number one is the data. That's number one for us in getting it, but everything
Well,
else.
and like
we will-
Mr. Maxwell
we will
said, he
fix.
doesn't know how much money he's got to work with for the week.
Yeah.
You know, is he gonna buy one load of rock or no loads of rock? So that's gotta be done.
Zero right now. Yeah.
That's what it's gonna be until
And
it
I
gets
can
resolved.
help you with that too. Because there is a way to look at your current.
And we'll get some other people
Yes, that
over
was
to do
a part of
additional
that
training
training.
as well.
Yeah. Did
Yeah,
anybody
training-
else?
Training.
Y'all got any more questions, Donnie?
Donnie just sitting back there quietly soaking.
Yeah.
Well, that's about the same questions I have.
With the POs. Okay,
But we apologize for the challenges, and we will get them resolved.
okay, good deal. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all being here.
No.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right.
Motion, take a break.
We have a motion to take a break, short
Second.
recess, and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and it's unanimous. We're in a short recess.
back.
Okay, can I have a motion to go back in session?
Motion.
Second.
Okay.
First thing, Robert, if we could, we need a table of the fire department, testimony.
Okay, you just want to table it?
Okay. Motion to table.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Can we have a motion to table, would you make a note that the judge is out?
Yes, I will.
Can we have a motion to table the Desdemona, Fire Department's request for ARPA funds?
Motion.
Second. No. Yeah.
There's Desdemona sitting back there.
Yeah, she's back there.
I've seen her once before in my alley. We have a motion to table Desdemona, VFD. All in favor of aye? Aye. You're tabled.
Thank you.
Okay. Number 4, discuss, consider JP quarterly report and tech fund. Judge, Glenn got stuck with it. Judge Spear.
Judge Spear stuck out on me. So, as you can see, I asked to get on Commissioner's Court, and the next thing I know, I forgot to type out quarterly. So, these are for year to date. In my court, I've done 514 magistrations. That means I've seen 514 people at the jail. I've done 31 inquests, decedents. I've done 13 emergency detention orders, 14 protective orders. 1,326 cases were filed, and that's anything from speeding tickets to Class C misdemeanors or so on and so forth. I've got 23 active warrants still and 17 search warrants. Those are the blood draw warrants at the hospital, usually at 2 a.m. I've had 17 small claim hearings. I've had 90 debt claim hearings and 33 evictions. And they are going and going since all that stuff dropped off. For Judge Spear, he's had 582 magistrations, 30 inquests, 17 detention orders, 24 protective orders, 1,212 cases filed, 17 active warrants, 10 search warrants. And then for hearings, he's got 36 small claims, 4 debt claims, and 17 evictions. Yes.
Can we have a motion to accept the JP's report?
I'm not done.
Oh, you're not done?
Also, when we did the budget thing this year, there was some confusion. I was told one thing, and then I was told one thing by JPC, Justice Court Training Center, and told some other things by other people that I couldn't use my technology fund. House Bill 3607 clarified it, so I can use my technology fund. And this is from legislative updates. It says tech fund money may be used for court personnel salaries and benefits, or tech fund money may be used to assist a constable's office or the county department with a technological enhancement or cost related to the enhancement if the enhancement directly relates to the operation or efficiency of the Justice Court. Just want to bring that to y'all's attention. But it's House Bill 3607 that clarified all that stuff.
I'm glad they clarified it.
So I will be readdressing that at a later date. Now I'm done.
Okay. Can we have a motion to accept the JP's reports?
Motion.
Second.
Have a good one.
Thank you, Judge.
Aye.
All, everybody in favor? Aye, A, B, C.
A and I's.
Item 5, 911 update and cooperative dispatch.
Guys, I don't have anything to.
Okay, good, sit down.
Still doing the same stuff.
Thank you for that.
No.
No, that's Julie's.
Item 6, discuss and consider using American Rescue Act funds for records management system for the sheriff's office.
I wish I was here before the financial people. to talk.
Oh.
Did I not tell you last time that it's not a good time to be bringing software stuff?
I know exactly what this thing does. I know exactly how much it'll cost. And I know exactly it's section 1.8 that will allow you to do this under ARPA.
Mm-hmm. Do I get one?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
It's a lot, but not near as much as everybody else has been asking y'all for. And this one will actually impact y'all directly and not the taxpayers. So we have a unique opportunity to upgrade and update some much needed software and computer system upgrades by using the money that has been given to us. Net data is old. It's extremely antiquated and out of date and with no possible help in sight. We have a lot of problems over there with efficiency and trying to get information, trying to even just to get it to print correctly onto the correct printer without printing confidential information to somebody in the courthouse. That happens from time to time, and we have no idea why, especially her office. So this right here would allow us to integrate into the CAD system that we just got for dispatch. This is the RMS, the Records Management System, Jail Management System, and mobile system that integrates all together seamlessly into the CAD system, where we're all sharing information in real time. All the emergency services are sharing information in real time. Cisco has already signed on to they're going to eForce as well. They're using ARPA money to do it. Langford said that was fine. That's exactly what this money is supposed to be used for, stuff like that. As you know, if we want to relate it back to COVID, dispatch keeps track of all the COVID, puts alerts onto the people and the addresses that have COVID, and this would allow us to tie in and have that information in real time. We could also put in alerts and information on COVID back as well. Cisco will be able to link into this. Eastland is looking at getting this and using their funding for some of their funding to get this as well. And we will all be linked together. This will also include fire departments. Cisco Fire Department is getting on it, and hopefully Eastland and Ranger. And we've been having discussions with the police chiefs and fire chiefs throughout the county over the last year multiple times about this, about going in this direction to start linking up the entire county emergency services together to be able to share in real time information. If Cisco deals with a person, we would be able to see that. If the CAD runs a person, if dispatch runs a person and has information on them, we will all be able to share all that information back and forth. It'll flow back and forth. This is CJIS compliant, whereas I've yet to see proof that net data is. Somebody said they think it is, but I haven't seen anything. Net data, as you know, I'm required to be CJIS compliant, and I'm working toward being that way. This would help me get there faster. It's NIBRS compliant. We have lots of problems with NIBRS. We're required to report NIBRS so that we can get grant funding. It's a voluntold system to do NIBRS, but if you don't, then the county doesn't get any grants. So we do NIBRS, and to do that, we have to do it correctly. And it's a major, huge pain to do it through net data. They do not keep up with it correctly. We're constantly having to go back and maneuver to make it submit to the state. This works with all the printers.
That's impressive right there.
It's Windows based. Interlink with all the other departments, and I mean this is what we've been talking about going to. This is what all the chiefs, fire and police have been talking about for over the last year to try to get us through, and we have a rare opportunity to make that happen this needs to happen one way or the other, and right now we have the funding to do it without costing the taxpayers money. This is a long time coming, and if we don't do it now, it's going to bite us in the butt, and we're going to have to do it at some point.
On the jail stuff, is it still gonna be like for the JPs to be able to look stuff up if they need to?
So that was a long discussion Friday. This company integrates into well with net data. They've had a lot of counties that have gotten off of net data on the emergency services because it doesn't do what emergency services need to do. But some of the other departments in the county were still running net data. They said they've already integrated well with them and they can do that. It's not going to be a problem. We can also give them read licenses. They also have, of course, this will be up to them, but and I haven't seen it, and I didn't know until Friday, they have a court module that integrates into this as well. So the courts and everything could be all emergency service could be all tied together. I haven't seen that part of it so I don't want to speak to it. But they have systems themselves. They can integrate with the JP's current stuff, or they integrate with other software vendors as well. We have been discussing with iDocket. I know that some of the like the county clerk's office is wanting to go to iDocket. I got the owner of iDocket in touch with the owner of eForce, and their teams are both working together, and they have been working together over the last 2 months to integrate, and so that they can change information too. So no matter what, if they stay with net data or go to iDocket or go with them or something else, it can all be built out. So I would love to do this. This is going to get the sheriff's department a long way down the road, and emergency services in general for the county.
Turnkeys 133, 718, 43.
Yes, sir. So that includes all the software to switch over, and that includes all the servers and computer systems and all that stuff, which is going to allow the new servers and all that stuff has to be done for this, but it's also going to open the door for me to be able to do other stuff that's been needed over there. That's going to include that. So this is going to be a home run grand slam on multiple levels.
Is there a annual fee?
There is. So for everything, it would be $16,427 annually. Right now, I'm paying $19 something per year for net data, just my section of it. Now, I wouldn't be able to get rid of net data completely, just because of the years and years and years of information that's actually in there. So my thoughts is to get that down to like one license, a read-only license into net data, and so that I can access the old information. And now we own the information, so I'm not exactly sure how that'll work, but I'll exchange my net data money for this. Because not everybody would need a net data license after that. We'd have like a hard date. Once this was installed, we'd have okay, we're no longer entering information in the net data as of this date, and this date we'll start entering into eForce or whatever. It'll take some, maneuvering and figuring stuff out, new processes and everything. Everything takes figuring out, especially when you've been doing, net data for 20 or 30 years. There's going to be a little bit of, how do we do this now? How do we do that? But man, we've just got to move forward. We've got to figure those processes out and move forward. And I don't know how we'll do it. To be honest with you, I don't know how we do this without this money. I mean, I know we're right.
I make the motion to let him buy it.
Before you do that,
Yeah.
we need to get with legal because this is federal grant,
Okay.
and need to make sure that we are complying with all bidding requirements. There is an exemption when it's sole source.
I figure it's like the 50,000.
Right, but that is a legal decision, not
Okay.
an auditor decision.
Okay.
This of course, this is all part of, will tie directly into the CAD system, that is eForce. So, I'll be asking for that exemption, whatever that looks like, because they're the only ones that can tie into their own stuff. To make this work, you know, it's good, it's across the board to eForce, or else it ain't gonna work right.
And I told you,
No,
I
no,
think
I'm
the
not-
exemption will work, but
right.
I wanna make sure that we're not paying $133,000 out of county funds.
Right, I agree. That's what we're trying to avoid.
So you want to make a motion to do it after, with the approval of?
Yeah.
I'll second.
So motion to accept this.
To allow the expenditure for the eForce for the sheriff's office with the approval of the attorneys.
With approval, okay, of attorneys?
Yeah. And I don't know whether he'll send it.
He probably will.
Yeah.
Since it's ARPA.
Yeah.
Who,
He made it, I seconded it.
okay, Ronnie. Okay, I'm with you.
Everybody. All in favor? Aye. Aye.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Most appreciated.
Thank you, Sheriff.
It's pretty cool.
Don't you call and ask me to bring you anything. You're gonna get
Paperless, baby, paperless.
Yeah. Item 8, discuss and consider use of American Rescue Plan Act funds to assist Westbound Water Corporation. Come on up.
We've got 6 pump stations, 950 odd meters, and serve about 3,000 people. And it's getting to the point to where we are getting close to the limits where we're gonna have to start telling people you can't have a meter. And so there's 4 different things, including the emergency generators that we put together as a plan for system improvements. One of them is the pump stations that we buy water from here in Eastland County, or Eastland city limits, and over in Cisco, those pumps are undersized if we're gonna continue to add customers onto those existing lines. So if we could upsize both of those sets of pumps, there's 2 in each station, then we would be able to continue adding meters on the existing system while we add improvements to it and lengthen lines and what have you. That would be going to a 550 GPM pump, 2 of those in the Eastland station, and 2 600 GPM pumps over in College, at Cisco College, and the total cost on that is $305,000.
Is there any way we get a copy?
I can send you,
We can
make
copy
copies,
one right
yeah,
now.
absolutely. The other one is for the emergency generators for the SB3 Act, that they're gonna maintain 20 PSI for any time over 24 hours that there's no power. And so that has to be implemented by November 1st of 2022. So either this go around or next go around is what I'll be trying to supply those 6 pump stations with generators as well, with quick connects or direct starts, whichever we find the funds for. The other thing is, we are trying to develop some more water down in the southern half of the county. And we have a public-private partnership going on with someone who has a piece of land diagonally across from our pump station down there. So we found water on Friday, right over there, so that we don't have to build another $500,000 pump station. We can just drill about 5 or 6 wells and pump that directly over into our 100,000 gallon storage tank and save a whole lot of headache and effort. This was the home run, hopefully, that we were gonna find, that we didn't have to go somewhere else further away and find water. The other thing is, y'all have been talking about computer upgrades and system upgrades. Our water system utilizes SCADA for us to monitor all 6 of our stations plus one electronic valve that we have. That system is about 16 years old, and they tell me that that price that you see, $173,000, would purchase the software, the computer to run it, and the license to go with the software for a yearly software. So that 173 buys the brains that you then build off from out into your system. And the gentleman that has been working on these and implementing these in different water systems, he said it's not unheard of to spend all the way up to about $1 million for a system that has half as many customers in it than we do. So the build out cost change on a yearly basis because of the components and the labor and construction, as far as being able to get somebody out there. They put the computer in the station, then they have to teach it what to do. So they could spend up to 2 weeks, one technician that gets paid somewhere close to about $120 an hour and knows how to write the programs to make the computer understand it, how to talk to the other stations, and then back to the brain at the office. So when we decide to do that someday, that right there will just be the start. So those 4 particular projects are the things that I think are going to be priority for us here in the next couple of years.
Does that mean y'all are gonna go up on water then?
Well, I'm trying to do this without going up on water.
Very nice, yeah.
And this would allow that to happen.
Yeah.
So the top 2 out of what I'd like to do would be the pump station improvements and or emergency generators. The pump station improvements are going to be better for the county, first and foremost. That way we can still continue to take in population. I was listening to them talk about how precinct 3 has grown. I've been seeing that down there. People, I bought 160 acres, gonna have a meter. Well, you bought the acreage without knowing if you could have water or not? Yep. Okay. So, that half of the county really, really, really needs water as far as capacity. We run that half of the county off of 75 GPM right now, out of 5 wells. So if we do produce 5 more wells, and that one that we found Friday was about 20 GPM, it would more than double the capacity we're already operating on. And that's good, because that system down there is already over capacity by double, according to state law.
You said you found 20 gallons per minute?
In one hole, yeah.
Wow.
When you've got
How big
70
was it?
acres to develop into as many as that will take. So I hope
Was it
that
deep?
160 feet.
160.
So you're talking about the first one there,
So the pump station improvements will help out the north half,
the second one?
the north half of the county, as far as being able to add customers around Cisco and Eastland and in between. Of course, the emergency generators I've got to do something along those lines before next November to satisfy the new bill. And then the well field water line improvements will be for the engineering and laying of the lines. So the person I'm dealing with is going to drill they bought the property, they're going to drill all the wells, complete the wells, run electricity to the wells, and then I'll buy the water from them, and my responsibility will be to connect the entire network of wells over into our station. So that will cover our cost of tying those wells into our existing facilities.
So you're wanting 630,000? Is that right or wrong?
Whatever you can do towards these 4 projects, I think would improve the county's infrastructure water-wise. My first 2 would be pump station improvements, the second one, and then now that I know I've got water down there, I number 1 kind of moved back up over the weekend for me, but the last one would be the emergency generators, so we can still continue to pump water when there's no electricity.
I'm good with the pump station improvements. I don't think we can only do 1 of the 4 this time around.
Well, that's what I figured, but I just kind of wanted you to have all the information I'm looking at.
I appreciate that. Because, I mean, I know Andy's got some people right on the line with me that can't get water right now because you can't put another meter out there because they called me too. And wanting to know if there was any other type deal north of town out here. And
On 183?
Yeah.
Yeah. The problem with that line is that state law says a 2-inch line can only have 10 meters maximum on it. And it had already 10 meters.
Yeah.
So that's it.
So.
But in that money, we are going to improve. Once we improve the pump sizes there, then you can put another meter down there, because where that goes from 2.5 inch to 2 inch, those you're talking about right there are on 2.5 inch. So they would be able to, but there's not enough pumping capacity to provide it to them legally.
What do you think, Junior?
I'm all about helping y'all on the water stuff or whatever. My question, Mr. Rader, do we have kept up with the dollar that we've been giving out?
Okay, so let's talk about that quickly.
Yeah.
Because the hospital, we've committed 100,000. 500,000?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm
Okay.
thinking.
The VFDs for all 8 would be 200,000. If we did this, that would be 305 this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
And Jason's, but we did 5 for the
I would never forget
water
you.
district. We did 5 for the other water district. That's what I was thinking.
For 500,000 for
Generators.
for yes, thank you. And then SO software, we're now, let's just say 140, yeah, round it. So we're at 1.25 million right now.
I'm good with the 305, and help improve the pump stations.
And then hopefully by next spring, I'll have the rest of those. I've got to submit a set of plans to TCEQ, and I don't know how long it's going to take them to approve them. But once they approve them, then we can go down there and start poking holes around, see how many wells. We're maybe 5 to 7, which ought to take us somewhere upwards of 140 gallons a minute, hopefully.
Yeah. But back to it, Mr. Rader, you said we was up to what now?
1.25 million.
And then we got 1.7 in there?
But at this point, I think we're going to have to get a grant
I
administrator.
thought you'd have it on. I really did thought it'd be on this agenda to go out for the.
Well, I kind of wanted to see what everybody was coming with.
Yeah.
And then if you want to do premium pay for employees,
for sure, yeah,
we've got to factor that in too.
Did they say anything about that the other day?
No, and that's just what they were talking about, that you can do premium pay, but it's got to fit into that $13 an hour, and you've got to include fringe. So we would have to actually do it, like calculate it, and say if it's 150 hours, we'd have to make sure everybody that's getting paid had worked at least
that many hours.
150 hours.
Over that.
Yeah. And then again, the $50,000 maximum. So we couldn't do it for any employee that made over $50,000, including benefits.
And see, that's going to be really, really close. Because insurance, when you start figuring in insurance and retirement,
Right.
and
Right.
and all that on that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do the little sheet just like we did for FEMA and
Yeah.
back everybody into an
Yeah.
hourly and calculate.
Because I mean, you're talking even longevity. I mean, everything.
Everything.
On that.
I'm good with the 305 too. Back to.
Yeah, back to Dustin sitting here trying to figure out what the heck we're talking about.
No, I know what you're talking about. You're right. It's a headache. Yeah.
Okay, you making the motion?
Yes, I'm making a
Motion to
motion.
give the 305,000
Yeah.
Now,
for
my
the
question
pump
is
station
the paperwork and the
improvements.
bidding
Okay.
processes, so I need to
And
go
Ronnie, who's second?
onto a website and look at all the
Andy did.
federal grant
Andy
stipulations.
seconded. All
so
those in
that-
favor,
so
vote
that
aye.
They want
Aye.
a bid from 3
All
engineers,
ayes.
a bid from
Okay, all
3 pump
ayes.
suppliers, a bid from 3 electricians, a bid from
No, Judge.
3 different, everybody, or whatever their
We have
stipulations.
RR.
Right,
We have
and
RR and
county
an A.
policy or Texas laws, if it's
We'll
over
just
50,000,
have to skip number
you
10.
have to bid it.
That's
Right.
him.
So, yeah, we'll kind of have
I mean,
to talk
number
about that.
9.
We may have to get
We'll
legal
have
involved on
to,
this.
we'll go to number 10.
I would like if
Yeah,
we did,
that's-
because I don't wanna step outside their lines.
For
I think it's a great
pump
opportunity they've given us, and I want to.
Which one we going to?
Number 10.
Number 10.
And yes, you serve the west side of the county and we need to help you
We'll
too.
get you squared away, buddy.
Thank you, gentlemen.
You bet.
Ladies, I really appreciate it.
See you later.
Have a great day.
We'll have to skip 9 because it's the judge. We'll go to number 10. Discuss, consider county covering cost of flu shots for county employees. Loretta's gonna give everybody a shot.
Yes, y'all just line up. We'll let y'all go first.
Yeah.
Some of us may get bruised.
Yeah. I've seen some of them big old needles.
Galia has contacted Love Oak. They're available to do flu shot clinic for us on November 1st, the afternoon. The county has paid for employees' flu shots before and just want to see if that's what the court would like to do again.
I'll make the motion that we pay for the flu shots. We have a motion to pay for the county's flu shots. All everybody in favor, vote aye. Aye.
Thanks for doing that, Miss Loretta.
Yes, that was
Yes,
Galia.
thank y'all.
Thanks,
I love my flu shot.
Do what?
Me too.
Does the county pay for the vaccine shots still or no?
For
Did last year, I just-
flu shot,
No, for
COVID, no.
Was that a one-time deal? Oh,
Well, and that, we really didn't pay for it. There was no cost.
There's, to my knowledge, there's still no cost for it.
okay.
Yeah, it's
I
free.
think so, yeah.
Do you need one?
No,
Oh, okay.
We got some Durapin Ronnie's got. I'll give you a
That
shot.
starts November 1st.
It is on
On
November
November
1st.
1st, okay.
And it'll be here in the courtroom.
Okay.
So we'll let Judge Fields give everybody a shot.
Yeah. Item number 11, discuss, consider, and adopt 2022 Eastland County Resolution Indigent Defense Grant Program.
It is time to adopt a resolution for the Indigent Defense Grant Program. We do this every year. Each of you has a copy. There is one change though. This is due by November 1st, I believe, where it's attested. It needs to say Donna Robertson, Deputy County Clerk. But basically, and I'll just kind of read over it and put it on record. Whereas under the provisions of Texas Government Code Section 79.037 and Texas Administrative Code Chapter 173, counties are eligible to receive grants from the Texas Indigent Defense Grants Commission to provide improvements in indigent defense services in the county. And whereas this grant program will assist the county in the implementation and the improvement of the indigent criminal defense services in this county. And whereas Eastland County Commissioners Court has agreed that in the event of loss or misuse of the funds, Eastland County Commissioners assures that the funds will be returned in full to the Texas Indigent Defense Commission. Now therefore be it resolved in order that the county judge of this county is designated as the authorized official to apply for, accept, decline, modify, or cancel the grant application for the Indigent Defense Formula Grant Program and all other necessary documents to accept said grant. And be it further resolved that the county auditor is designated as the financial officer for this grant.
Can we have a motion to accept the resolution and allow the judge to sign it?
Accept or adopt?
Adopt.
Adopt.
Good job there, Don.
Yeah.
Better.
Yeah.
Motion.
Second.
Okay.
Andy.
We have motion to adopt a resolution and allow the judge to sign it. All those in favor vote aye. Aye. Item 12, discuss, consider requesting auditor to audit sheriff's seizure account.
I was told I have to ask y'all's permission for the auditor to audit the seizure account that's required by the Attorney General.
Yeah, the way it's written
Yeah,
is that
it's
they have
crazy.
to request the court to
So
request.
can the auditor audit the account?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
We have a motion to allow the auditor to audit the account of the sheriff's office, chapter 59 funds. All in favor vote aye. Aye. Discuss requesting, number 13, discuss and consider requesting auditor to audit constable, chapter 59 funds.
That's for both constables.
Okay. Constables 1 and 2.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion
Motion to what?
to audit
To audit.
the constables, constable 1 and 2's chapter 59 funds.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor vote aye. Item 14 is discuss, consider requesting the auditor to audit the DA's chapter 59 funds.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and second to ask the auditor to audit
Okay.
the chapter 59 funds for the DA's office. Everybody in favor vote aye. Aye. Item 15, update on the burn ban. It's off.
I think we had a fella in here a while ago, Miss Kathy was wanting to put it on. The feller about the burn ban,
Was he wanting it on?
Yes.
I make the motion, put the burn ban on.
Okay, immediately, right?
Yes, sir.
We have a motion to put the burn ban on immediately. Got a second?
I'll second.
Have a second. All those in favor vote aye. Aye. I guess you'll have to do an order for the judge to sign.
I'll get it together.
Item 16 is personnel reports.
Each of you has a personnel report. The time period for that report is not October 1st through October 31st. It's through the 13th.
Close enough. The numbers are right.
Yeah, they're just kind of switched. During that time period, there were 2 new hires, 1 full-time jail guard, and then another full-time jail guard. I guess they were both called jail guards.
Can we have a motion to accept the personnel report?
Second.
Okay.
We have a motion to accept the personnel report. All those in favor vote aye. Aye. 17, budgetary and appropriative matters. A, additional revenue.
None at this time.
B, emergency amendments.
None at this time.
C, reverting. Amendment changes by fund.
None at this time.
Is that C?
That's
Okay.
because none of us can see what we got in there that we gotta change.
Including Mr. Redder.
D is report of financial condition.
Yes,
And man, did it get bigger.
it did. It got a lot bigger. Because what you're used to looking at is the first section, which is the cash position report. And there are the first 3 pages, I believe.
Yes.
The first 4 pages are all of the funds that are on the September fiscal year. And then the next 2 pages are juvenile and adult probation because they're on an August fiscal year end. And these are as of the end of August. And this report shows the beginning cash value, revenues, accounts payable. I do like this, that y'all can see what came from accounts payable and payroll. And right now, everything's in other because what pulled over from net data to GFA is considered other. But in the future, the reports should start showing accounts payable and payroll. And then ending cash balance. And it is by fund. And then after that is the management report from First Financial Bank, listing the securities for all of funds for Eastland County. And on page 2, the one line is the total pledged market value, $10,058,997.05. And I will tell you on page 4 of the cash report, you'll see that payroll clearing and operations clearing have 4.5 million and just over 5 million. That is not correct. So the total at the bottom is actually almost 10 million too much. Then is a pledged security listing for Prosperity Bank, and the total pledged market value from them is $245,826.26. The next page is an authorization to release pledge. One of our securities had matured, or it was called, and Judge Field signed to release that maturity. The next 2 pages is the interest report. The current column is this year to date, and the history column is last year to date. As of the end of August, interest earned for all funds, $15,159.87. Same time last year, $91,591.67. Then the next 97 pages, maybe, is statement of revenue and expense, and it is showing every single revenue and expense line in all the funds. It's showing budgeted revenue, and this is, again, as of August, what was collected year to date, over and under budget, and percent of budget collected. And then on the expenditures, it is showing you the annual appropriation, expenditures through August 2021, expenditures year to date, encumbrances year to date, over and under budget, and percent of budget expended.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Well, we're getting back there, wait a minute.
I did a long time.
It's page 98.
Yeah.
So as of August 31st, 2021, the amount of cash and other assets in the custody of my office was $9,806,910.96.
Your mid reports aren't gonna be this big, are they?
On what?
Yeah, like oh, you're kidding.
I'm gonna ask them if they can do a total by fund, like was done previously.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't even do a bi-weekly. For one thing, this is not reconciled, so
Yeah.
I didn't even do the bi-weekly.
Well, that's what, I mean, wow. I'm gonna need a bigger filing cabinet.
I know, and I think I dropped my paper budget.
Yeah.
She did it back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did on yours do 2-sided.
Yeah.
Just more ink.
But you can read it.
Yeah, it looks good.
Way bigger.
Yes, I do like the way this report prints, but I will see if they will do it total by fund.
Can we have a motion to accept the financial report and sign the affidavit?
Motion. Second.
We have a motion to accept the report and sign the affidavit. All in favor, vote aye. Aye.
And they did look at the reports that Net Data produced when I was at conference. So we sat and compared reports. So hopefully they kind of go that direction.
Was that for D? We're on D right now.
Yes, yeah, we just did D. We're doing E will be on the back of that report. The very back.
Oh, okay.
The investment report.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, he's out right now, so he won't sign it, will he?
I doubt
We
he'll.
want to put absent on those for them.
Here's two more.
Got to turn it over, so.
I need to learn how to sign like Robert. He's beating me.
All he does is slash through it. There ain't no signature. Is it, Mr.
No, it's just.
Yeah, let me go back through to see if I ever gave my signature to you through the years.
Don't bring it.
Let's see. Was that the last one?
Yeah, that was the last one.
Yeah, you have to fill out the date here.
Okay.
Here.
Oh, okay.
What is it?
Today's the 25th.
Here comes Thanksgiving.
I know, right?
Where has this year gone?
Well, I'm telling you, mister, it is gone.
I was so excited it was a new year.
Yeah.
We get all that one.
Yeah.
All we gotta look for is all the good food coming now.
And that was yours.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. E, investment report.
Yes, you have the August investment report. There's two sections now, general fund and American Recovery Plan Act funds. You'll see certificates of deposit with First Financial Bank first. There are three. One Shirk Bank CD, one Texas Bank CD, one Prosperity Bank CD, Texas Class, Texcool Prime, and Texcool. The rates had gone up just a little bit in those accounts. The American Recovery Plan Act funds, the certificates of deposits, I didn't have them on the July report, so I started with a zero balance and then showed that we moved money into it, but it was actually done in July. And then Texas Class. And the collateral on cash balances and bank certificates of deposit was adequate for the period. This report is made in accordance with the provisions of Government Code 2256, the Public Funds Investment Act. The investments held in Eastland County portfolio comply with the Public Funds Investment Act and with the county's investment policies and strategies. And I do need to tell you that the certificate of deposit in the American Rescue Plan Act ending in 5431 did mature and renew on October 7th.
Can we have a motion to accept the investment report?
Motion. Second.
We have a motion to accept the investment report as presented. All in favor, vote aye. Aye. Financial reports. You got any?
I have one. I think it's all, tax office, yeah, motor vehicle, yeah, just have one.
The DMV.
DMV. I don't guess, does the judge have any that I don't have?
I don't know. You got a.
You didn't have any? Okay.
Okay, can we have a motion to accept the financial report as presented?
Motion. Second.
We have a motion to accept DMV report. All in favor, vote aye. Aye.
go back and table that one.
I guess let's go back and, we really don't have to take any action on it. I guess we could table it because it's on every agenda until we get them all in.
Yeah.
What's that number?
I need to know, because I can't pay the fire departments their support unless y'all have their contracts.
But they're for next year, aren't they?
That's what I'm paying now, is this year's support, 2022 support.
Yeah, but I thought they're dated for next calendar year. Are they not?
Should be.
So are they? I thought it was for this year, in the calendar year. Would Kathy know if-
I bet he ain't done.
You see him out?
Oh, yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Rising Star. City of Eastland.
Sound like there's a
Carbon.
party in there.
Yeah, no.
What was that, Carbon?
Yeah,
Carbon?
yeah. Rising Star, City of Eastland, Carbon, Ranger.
Thought Olden turned theirs in last time.
Yeah, they turned theirs in
We had
last
one
time.
before.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, he's got
This way out. Right through there, yeah, just go right through there.
Thank you.
What do you have for me?
We're trying to do this. The only thing we got left is
Oh.
these.
Okay.
So I was,
Sorry.
I was stealing your stuff.
What's your? So,
Number 9.
number 9, did we just start it?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes.
sir. Yeah, we were just trying to figure out what we had.
Okay, number 9 is, discuss, consider approving, executing contracts and entities for dispatch services, rural fire suppression. All right, so we've gotten, for the record, Rising Star has sent theirs back to us. It's been signed by the Rising Star chief. We have gotten the City of Eastland firefighting contract back. It's been signed by the mayor. And we've gotten Carbon Fire Department contract back, and it's been signed by Chief Forbes. And we've got Ranger VFD firefighting contract signed by Chief Fox. And then we've got the dispatch interlocal agreement. Let's see which ones we have back here. And it looks like this one has been signed by Rising Star. Let me make sure about that. Yes, this one's been signed by Rising Star. Now, if you remember, we sent all of these out without me signing them, so they're back in now. And can I have a motion then to accept those back in and to sign off on those VFDs and this one dispatch agreement?
I'll make it, Judge.
Second.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And Donna, are you sure that you got all the names on those?
Yes, I'll read them back. I have Rising Star, City of Eastland, Carbon, Ranger VFD, and Dispatch.
And dispatch is with Rising Star.
They're with Rising Star.
Right.
Okay.
Right. I'll get those signed and get you, I'll let you have all these if you'll get me a copy back.
Yes, I will.
Loretta's gonna want a copy as well. And you'll
Okay.
have to attest my signature.
Okay.
I don't need a copy, I just need to know that.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry, I've got another one here.
Oh,
This is also dispatch with City of Cisco.
City of Cisco.
So may we have a motion to also approve the dispatch and allow me to sign with City of Cisco? Oh my gosh, there's another one in
Oh,
here.
hang on.
And City of Eastland
I had City of Eastland.
For dispatch.
for the fire, but not for dispatch.
Okay, for the City of Eastland for dispatch.
Can you
Okay.
go back through, and make sure you have them all?
Yes, we might
Okay.
do that.
All right, so let's look at dispatch again. I've got dispatch with City of Eastland.
Mhm.
I've got dispatch with City of Cisco. I've got dispatch with City of Rising Star.
Okay.
You have those 3?
Mm-hmm.
And then the fire departments, I think you were right on, but let's make sure.
Okay.
I've got fire department with Ranger,
Ranger,
fire department with Carbon,
Carbon,
fire department with City of Eastland,
yes.
Fire Department with Rising Star VFD.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So we had the motion to accept and sign off on, what were you calling them? The reports? The contracts.
The contracts.
And that was by Robert and Andy.
So let's make sure we have all of them in there on that one motion.
Okay,
Yeah.
on the one
Okay.
motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's modify it. Can we amend
Yeah,
it?
we can amend it
To include all
everybody.
those we just
Okay.
named? Yes. And do we have a second on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Robert and Andy.
Right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign, and that carries. And I will sign these, Donna, and get you to attest them, and if you'll get me a copy back up here.
Yes, and
get 'em
Loretta
out-
needs a
back out to
copies
the
too.
entities and back out to Loretta as well.
Judge, we gave you permission to sign the county resolution for the indigent grant
Okay.
fund also.
Oh, do you have that, Donna?
Thank y'all for letting me take a little
Which
time
one?
out
What-
there
what
with
number
Senator
was that?
Birdwell. He's gonna be our new senator.
It's that one sheet, one piece of paper.
That Loretta
11.
needed. I think that is.
We put the burn down too.
Oh, the burn ban is back on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did we get a move? Right there it is.
I got yours and
What was the
mine.
vote on the burn ban?
3-0.
3-0?
Yes.
Okay. And if you will attest that,
Okay.
There's two of those for you to sign.
Oh, that's on the burn ban, okay.
all right.
Okay.
All right, what else do we need to cover? And again, I'm sorry for having to step back there.
I think that's everything, Judge. The only other thing we'll tell you is you should have had a piece of paper laying there that was just a seat deal from westbound. And that's it, right there where you hand.
Which one?
And we voted,
EHT?
yeah, we voted to do the number 2 project thing they had there that,
305, I believe, Judge.
yeah,
That in there.
305,000 for
yes,
westbound?
yes.
What are they actually going to get done?
They're gonna put new pumps in the Cisco pump station and the Eastland pump station.
Okay.
But we requested that you ask legal before we do it.
And there's another one
Stipulation.
that on the
Jason's.
software for the sheriff's office, need to ask legal on also.
Yeah.
Now, when you say ask legal, what do you mean? We want
I
them
don't know,
to-
that's what Loretta said.
We want them to draft, do we want westbound to draft some kind of an MOU?
Well, we'll probably need MOU from everybody other than the sheriff's office, but I will email you on the sheriff's software what we need to find out.
Okay, so this EHT bid for 305,000 was approved for
Yeah.
westbound.
And I don't think there'll be a problem with the improving pump station on the water infrastructure.
Well, I'm still a little fuzzy on what you want legal to actually do, or do you want some kind of a agreement that this is
No,
eligible?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
And we're discussing bidding, and because the pricing on that, I believe, is like several different things. It's not just one person doing turnkey.
Okay.
So we may have to get legal involved on that, but
Oh,
not right now.
because it's over, because it
Yeah.
aggregates up to 305,000.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, okay,
Right.
okay. Okay,
And that in there was the sheriff's, those don't legal. Yes, sir, that one. Yes,
And
sir.
I'll email you on the sheriff.
okay, I'll send that off to Bass or Allison. Okay, what else then did I miss?
we voted you on several committees, but you'll find out later.
You're giving the flu shots.
Yeah.
I'm so tired of turning on TV and seeing somebody get stuck in the arm with a needle. Makes my skin crawl a little bit anyway.
And now it's gonna be done right here at your table.
Well, that's just the flu thing that we've done for years and years, so.
If you don't want to stand up, you can just lay them down.
You guys, well, thank y'all for covering for me while I talk with our new senator.
I do have one more
Didn't you say
question.
you wanted
Yes,
to
I was
say
gonna ask
again?
Ms. Larry, are you gonna put that on the agenda next time for, on the ARPA fund to,
It's on the agenda for next time.
already?
Yeah.
For
Judge
what?
took care
For
of
what?
it.
How'd you- oh, I didn't know
Employee
that.
ARPA fund.
Yeah, I'll put it on there.
And also to discuss, hiring a grant administrator.
That was the one I was asking,
Okay.
yeah.
I did not have that one on there, but let's make sure before you leave that we get Kathy to know that it needs to go on there.
Okay.
Sometimes these things come in so hot and fast, it's hard to keep up with all the requests for agenda items. So the burn ban is back on. Okay, it's probably a good idea.
It's gonna be raining
Did we make a
Wednesday, so I
motion
wanna make sure. to get
Not
that
yet.
right.
We haven't left
Like
yet.
California just got though, dude.
Boy, they
Oh,
did.
my
They got
Wow.
What is it? Okay.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
We have a motion before us to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Yep.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Uh,
He said something. I wasn't sure what it was. And I believe we are adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank y'all.